Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Cedar Falls Committee of the Whole meeting. I will now call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Schultz?
Here.
Latta?
Here.
Cruz? Cruz? Can you hear me?
He's here. We see.
Can you give us a thumbs up if you're here?
My
Thanks,
camera's off. It says I'm trying to turn on the camera and it's not responding. But you can see me?
Yep,
We can hear you now, too.
Okay, cool.
Hawbaker?
Here.
Ganfield? Chrisman?
Here.
Dunn?
Here.
Ganfield absent?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll go to item number 1, Gross Cedar Valley update. Mr. Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor Luddick and members of the council and all attendants. It's great to be here this evening. I'd like to take a few moments tonight to speak with you on behalf of Gross Cedar Valley. My name is Dave Wilson, and I'm the current chairperson for Gross Cedar Valley. So on behalf of the Gross Cedar Valley Board of Directors and team, I'd like to begin by expressing our gratitude to the City of Cedar Falls for your partnership and your unwavering support in so many different ways. Your collaboration is vital to the work that we do here, and we're proud of the progress that we made together to strengthen the Cedar Valley. Gross Cedar Valley's mission is to champion economic and community development across the region, and this includes balancing the needs of our broader communities with those of the business community that we serve. And so we're focused on building a thriving Cedar Valley that's a destination for people, for talent, and investment. So we're excited to take this opportunity tonight to share some updates on the work that we've accomplished in the last 6 months, from workforce development initiatives to promoting our community and supporting local businesses. We're eager to highlight how your support and partnership have actually made these efforts become possible. So we again would like to thank you again for for your partnership and the trust that you place in us to serve as stewards of this region's economic vitality. At this time, I'm going to invite Stephanie Duttweiler up, our Director of Workforce and Talent Development, to share this evening, as she'll be our first presenter. Thanks again for having us tonight.
Good evening. I have a few things that I want to share with you tonight that we have in the works and also have accomplished since the last time that I updated you in June. So from the packet, I'll be talking about 4 of the different things under workforce and talent. But the first I want to mention is our population study that we will be doing here in the Cedar Valley. So we subscribe to a data source called Lightcast. I think I've mentioned that before. And that data source has told us that the projected population of the Waterloo Cedar Falls MSA is projected to decline over the next 5 years. And just by a small percentage, by 0.6%, but it is expected to decline, and it has declined in the last 5 years as well. And so with that data source, I kind of started looking at other MSAs in the state of Iowa, and basically the rest of the MSAs are expected to increase with the exception of the Quad Cities. And so one of the goals of our strategic plan for Gross Cedar Valley is how do we increase the working age population here in the Cedar Valley. And so we thought this would be a great opportunity for us to hire a consulting firm and help us kind of answer that question. So how do we grow our population here? So what I have done so far is put together a steering committee of folks that will help guide the scope and objectives and the RFP that we create for that consulting firm. Mayor Luddick is on that steering committee along with representatives from the City of Waterloo and Waverly. We also have 4 of our top businesses, highest employment number businesses in the Cedar Valley of our key industries, and then the higher education institutions and some other community leaders as well. So at this point, we've just had our first steering committee meeting, and now we're kind of taking all that information back and writing our request for proposal that we're going to send out. We're looking for national consulting firms that don't really have any tie to the Cedar Valley whatsoever, so they can be objective in their study. So more to come on that, but that's where we're at with it. Another thing I wanted to call out was our Community Champion program. So I think maybe the last time I came and spoke, it might have just been kind of starting out. But IEDA has partnered with 16 metro areas in the state of Iowa that are involved with the Iowa Chamber Alliance. And so they have worked with us at Gross Cedar Valley, and in those 16 communities, there's a community champion that's been appointed, and I am the community champion for the Waterloo Cedar Falls area. The whole point of this program is to attract people to move to Iowa, essentially, from states all around the U.S., maybe targeted more to some states that are moving here, such as Illinois, New York, California. But they're doing marketing campaigns to attract individuals to their website. This is iowa.com. From there, they are asked to fill out a form with a bunch of different questions on it, and based on how they answer those questions, they will be funneled to a specific community in the state of Iowa. So overall for the program, since it started in about the June-July timeframe, there's been 1,500 individuals that have asked to connect with a community champion in a community. 62 of them have been sent to me here in the Cedar Valley. And from that, I take those and I email them, ask them to set up time with me, learn more about what they're looking for, try to connect them with employers or personal connections, realtors, stuff like that. And it's a long game. It's not something where these people are even ready to move here in the next month or two. It could be a year. It could be years from now. And they're kind of just testing the waters. So I am happy to report, though, that we have one individual that is actually moving here to the Cedar Valley from that program, which is really cool. And also, I will call out that only 3 people in the entire program from the state of Iowa have decided to move to Iowa. So we are one of the 3 locations that they have chosen to move to. So pretty exciting, and it's, again, a long game. So another thing I wanted to call out is our talent connection network. So we all know that, this year John Deere has laid off about 1,000 employees. The majority of them are their hourly production workers, but there is about 69 that were laid off that are salary workers. And Iowa Workforce Development is a great partner to us. We rely on them heavily for a lot of the support that they can provide these displaced employees. But one of the things is there wasn't really anything specifically for the salary employees of John Deere. So we have worked with Iowa Workforce Development to create a web page that is private and not just anybody can access it. But essentially, for these individuals, and on this web page has specific employers that might match up to like their skill set. So there was some engineers that lost their positions, so some engineering jobs here local. And then also kind of the benefit of going to this web page is that they have the direct contact info for the HR professionals at that company. So if you look for a job, it's half the time you don't even get passed through to an HR person. You're going, trying to just get in touch with somebody. So this is kind of the benefit is they can actually talk to a person and email a person. Since we put that together, there has been 50 unique users. So like I said, 69 people from John Deere have been displaced that were 69 that were salary. So 50 people have gotten onto this webpage, and there's been 127 page views. So, and I think it's uncovered a lot of things, like what more can we do with this too? So we're kind of testing it out to see. And the last thing I wanted to mention was our Cedar Valley Intern Connect program. So I believe the last time I came and spoke, we were right in the middle of that program. So there was 2 sessions that we did. The Cedar Valley Intern Connect program, in case you don't remember, it was for interns in the Cedar Valley. We partnered with businesses for them to send their interns to this program. The whole goal of the program was for the interns to connect more to the Cedar Valley, to see that it's a great place to live, for them to want to move here after they graduate. And the other one was to connect them to other interns. So while they're here over the summer, they could meet other people that they could hang out with and build relationships with. And so we had 2 sessions, 2 half-day sessions. Mayor Loddick came and spoke at the first one, which went over really well with the interns. They enjoyed that. And then the second session, we had different people come and speak. Overall, the sessions were awesome. Really good feedback from the interns. I have a couple data points that I'll share with you. So 50% of the interns said that they made a connection with another intern in the program that they connected with like during their personal time that summer. So, half of them met maybe a new friend, essentially. 100% of the interns said that they had a better connection to the Cedar Valley after attending, which is awesome because that was our goal of the program. And we asked them if they considered living in the Cedar Valley after college before they went to that program. 38% of them said yes. 34% of them said no. Well, then we asked them again, now that they've gone through the program, would they consider the Cedar Valley as a place to live? And that went up to 50% of them said that they would. And then the number of no's went down to 15%. So there still were a few that were unsure, but at least we moved the needle and got more people that were wanting to move here. So we are planning on doing that program again this summer, and my goal is to double the amount of attendees. We wanted to just keep it small and try it out and see how it went, and hopefully we can get more interns this summer. That's it for me.
Thanks, Stephanie.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Katie Susong. I'm President and CEO of Grow Cedar Valley. Everything that Steph talked about tonight is all part of our work plan for this year. And you may recall I did send an email a few months ago that really outlines all of our 12 priority projects for the year. And that really is what's driving our efforts at Grow Cedar Valley, because we want our work this year to be measurable, and we want to be able to have accountability to our partners to demonstrate that we're getting the work done that we say we're going to get done. One other piece, another priority that Steph did not speak to, was our Young Professionals program. And admittedly, we had planned on a full year rollout of our Young Professional program, but we were fortunate to have an opportunity to actually get to work with an existing program, the Cedar Valley Young Professionals, and we're going to merge with their organization. So they're actually going to become a part of Grow Cedar Valley, so an existing program already in place. The leaders from that organization are serving as the chair and co-chair of our first advisory council for that group. And so, as I said, we were anticipating we were going to be launching all of our programming for that really towards the summer of '25. We actually met last week and had our work planning session, and we're going to be rolling out our first event in January of 2025. So really excited to get that program up and running. We believe that having a strong young professionals program is really vital to ensuring that we retain our young professionals here in the Cedar Valley. So this is a big project for us, a big win. One thing that I do want to note is that while we will encourage our Grow Cedar Valley investors to participate, to send people through the program or to have them participate in the program, it will be something that's open to all young professionals, because we do want to be a business community for the entire Cedar Valley, not just those that invest in our organization. So working through what that looks like, but excited to add that to the work that we do at Grow Cedar Valley. Lisa Skubal could not be here tonight, so you get to hear an economic development update from me. So I will do my best. If you have technical questions, please let me know, and I will write them down and get back to you. But since our last update, Grow Cedar Valley has been actively working to promote business growth and investment in the Cedar Falls. Since mid-May, we've engaged 9 external leads in Cedar Falls, or for Cedar Falls, with over $308 million in potential new capital investment and 319 potential new jobs for the community. Along with that, we conducted 6 prospect meetings with companies that we met as a result of our lead generation trip in Illinois. Met with 5 of them virtually and 1 in person. And in fact, one of those leads is currently in works in the city of Cedar Falls. Grow Cedar Valley exhibited with IEDA at the Select USA Trade Show in June, and the booth generated 11 booth leads, with one of those companies having an immediate project. Shane Graham and Lisa Skubal from our team had 4 separate one-on-one meetings and were invited to the reception held by the Kingdom of the Netherlands. This year, again, as part of our priorities for our 24-25 work plan, we are taking a really aggressive approach when it comes to external lead generation. We've got several trips that are currently being planned for the next 6 months of the year. So right now we're working on a lead generation trip to Southern California. In February, we intend to do the same in Upper New York and New Jersey. In March, we are going to participate in the Site Selection Guild Annual Conference. In May, we are participating with IEDA at the Select USA Conference in Washington, D.C., and this is really an opportunity for us to engage with international companies. And then in June, we're currently planning a trip to the Netherlands to try and engage with Dutch companies. As you know, we've got a good presence of Dutch companies here in the Cedar Valley, and we want to hopefully capitalize on that and try to bring additional investment. We are also going to partner with IEDA to attend the World Biomarket Conference at that time. It is primarily one-on-one scheduled meetings. IEDA has gone in the past and seen success, and so we hope for the same. Beyond business attraction efforts, we are also focused on our existing businesses here in the Cedar Valley. So much of our expansion and our growth really comes from the businesses that are already here. And so to that end, we have actually hired Adrian Miller. Adrian, will you come up here, please? Thank you. Adrian Miller is our new Director of Business Services and Advocacy. So we're really excited to bring Adrian to our team. She is going to be leading our business retention and expansion efforts here in the Cedar Valley, here in Cedar Falls. She's already met with several businesses and is planning to take a much more aggressive approach to getting out and talking to our businesses here in Cedar Falls. Of course, our intent with those visits is really to understand what businesses are planning when it comes to potential expansion, but also to understand the challenges that they're facing, whether that is things that are within their industry or potentially legislative issues, which is why she is also going to be our advocacy person. So she can hear firsthand from the businesses and be able to take that and apply that in that part of her role. So thank you. So we're really excited to have Adrian on our team. We last year completed around 30 BRE visits. This year we have a goal of 60. So we really are trying to step this up and do more of this, and certainly with the intent that we can aggregate the information we get from these visits and share it with all of you to help inform what you do as well, because that's important to us. In addition to what I've already shared, since our last update, our Grow Cedar Valley ambassadors have been at a variety of events. Just in the last couple months alone, they've already done 8 ribbon cuttings in Cedar Falls to celebrate business openings, milestones. Last year, we did over 80 ribbon cuttings across the Cedar Valley, and I'm anticipating we'll be on par for that this year. So there's lots to celebrate and lots of great progress happening here in the Cedar Valley. Hopefully you did all receive the quarterly update that I sent via email a few months ago. We will be, in addition to these in-person visits, we will be continuing those efforts. So at any point, if you ever have questions about what you see in that, if you on our social media, if you have questions about the activities that we're engaging in, that sort of thing, certainly please let me know. We thrive on feedback and want to make sure that we are meeting expectations. So thank you all for your time tonight, and with that, we can take questions.
Okay. Thank you, Katie, and I'll open it up. Anybody has questions, comments?
Katie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, nice to see you. Thank you very much
You too.
to everyone for your presentations and all the work that you're doing. A couple of things that I was reading that businesses are looking for, and that is, one of them is rail service.
Mm-hmm.
How's that working for us, being that that's kind of been something we've taken out more than added in our recent history? Do we have some locations, or?
Thanks for hitting me with one of those technical questions right away, Gil. I would like to get back to you on that. I don't feel like I can answer that clearly without doing a little more research, so I will look into it and get back to you.
All right, thanks.
Okay?
I'm guessing that's a question too. Our staff team could, at least for Cedar Falls, fill you in on what we've got for like the North Industrial Park and rail service we've got up there. But we don't need that right now, but we can also get you some follow-up on that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thoughts, questions? And then one thing I'll say thank you for is you guys have been very responsive with helping get information back, for getting council members included in some of the ribbon cuttings when I requested that. So just thank you guys for being very responsive to working with the city.
Super. Thank you. Well, we appreciate the partnership, and as I said, if there's ever questions or anything else that we can provide, certainly please reach out.
I do.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Katie. All right, we'll move to item number 2, civil service process changes. And for that, we've got a presentation from Human Resource Manager Bailey Schindel. Thank you, Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. So tonight I will be presenting on 2 revisions to Iowa Code Chapter 400, which pertains to the civil service process. One of those is just an update, and then the other will require consideration as to how the city wants to move forward. The first revision to Iowa Code Chapter 400 was effective July 1st of 2024, and it pertains to police officers, or in our case, public safety officers. And it states that for police officers, if an applicant is one, certified by the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy, and two, has passed a civil service test with another city, and three, has not had a break of law enforcement service of more than 180 days, the applicant does not need to retake a civil service test when changing employment from one Iowa law enforcement agency to another Iowa law enforcement agency. These applicants are still required to meet the minimum requirements of the job and must successfully complete the required physical and mental examinations, as well as any state or federal regulation requirements. So certified officers would still need to meet our job education, experience, and certification requirements, as well as an interview, background checks, and any other parts of our normal hiring process. This new revision to the law just simply exempts certified officers from having to take a civil service test again. This is just an informational update, as this new law was in effect on July 1st. The second piece to the Iowa Code Chapter 400 revision pertaining to civil service, and it does require consideration by council. Again, effective July 1st of 2024, this piece would allow a city council by majority vote to no longer create and use entry position hiring list for civil service candidate selection. Upon council majority vote, the suspension of using entry hiring list is effective for 1 year, but another vote may be conducted to continue the practice of not utilizing entry hiring list for another subsequent year. The ability to suspend the use of an entry hiring list applies to all entry positions covered by civil service law. Just as a reminder, entry civil service positions would be basically most of our full-time entry positions, with the exception of library, as they're not covered under civil service law. If approved, this vote would immediately suspend hiring from even already established list, and cities would need not wait until the current list expires. So that was a legislation change. For some context, I wanted to provide what our current civil service process is. And that consists of the Civil Service Commission meeting 3 times in the duration of hiring for a civil service position. First, the Civil Service Commission approves the testing method, whether that's an interview or questionnaire method, the documents of the questions themselves, and the rating rubric for each civil service position. Second, the Civil Service Commission approves candidates to test. This is a step that is unique to the city of Cedar Falls, and it is not required under civil service law. And third, at this point, all candidates will have tested and received their scores, and the Civil Service Commission would meet to approve a certified hiring list of candidates. In accordance with the July 1st, 2024 legislation change, here is what the potential civil service process could look like if City Council votes to suspend the use of entry hiring list. Staff is proposing a January 1st, 2025 effective date, as that's just a clean date that's upcoming, and it also aligns with the legislation since it is effective for 1 year if you suspend list. Under the new legislation and the potential civil service process, the Civil Service Commission would meet just once, and for all entry-level civil service positions, the Civil Service Commission would approve the testing method, again, whether that's an interview, questionnaire, that's up to them, the document of questions, the rating rubric, and they would set the minimum threshold scores that candidates must meet or exceed to pass the civil service test. From there, staff would administer the civil service test as decided by the commission, and candidates who meet or exceed that civil service set score would be added to a pool from which the city can hire from. So there's no list any longer. Essentially, if candidates exceed that civil service, meet or exceed that civil service set score, they get added to a pool from which we can hire. This proposed process will add efficiency and quicken the civil service hiring process because, for one, we're lessening the number of times that the Civil Service Commission meets from 3 to 1 time. And this allows hiring parties to test, evaluate, and hire for candidates on an ongoing basis. Staff did present these Chapter 400 revisions to the local Civil Service Commission, inform them of how it could impact their role in civil service, and explain the next steps of council consideration. It is important to note that the civil service process for promotional level civil service positions would follow the same process as just explained on number 1 on the slide there. And that civil service or that certified hiring list are still required for promotional level certified civil service positions. The revision to the law only allows suspension of entry level list. So certified list would remain for promotional level positions. This means that for promotional level positions, the civil service process would consist of 2 steps instead of this proposed 1 step for entry level positions. Why should this new civil service process be considered for approval? The national average time to fill a position is approximately 44 days. That's measured from the start of advertising for a position to the time that it's filled with a new hire. The City of Cedar Falls' time to fill a civil service position is 94.66 days, almost 95 days, and that's using data from the past year. So you can see that's more than double the national average time to fill a position. Bottom line, or in sum, the city is losing candidates because the civil service process does take time, and a lot of candidates we end up losing because they've accepted positions elsewhere before they even get through the end of our process. This new potential civil service process would help to streamline the civil service process, adding efficiencies and reducing the amount of time it takes to fill a civil service position. Next steps, staff would be looking for a motion to recommend staff to draft a resolution related to the suspension of the use of entry-level hiring list for all entry-level civil service positions, which would then be considered at the December 2nd City Council meeting. And with that, I can take any questions.
And I'll open up to the group. I was just going to preface with, 1 second, Aaron. Just to recap, so essentially new legislation has allowed the changes to the process, and staff's been working on looking at how do we help minimize some of the applicant loss we're having with our hiring process, since it is a pretty lengthy process. So this is really to look at us giving permission to move forward with looking to make those changes. And Aaron, you had something?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm trying to figure out I understand why getting rid of the list, because we have to wait for it to expire and repopulate it and that sort of thing, would help speed things up. What about the Civil Service Commission approves the candidates to test? Is that affected by this proposed change that's before us?
So as I mentioned, that is an extra step that is unique to the City of Cedar Falls. That's not required under civil service law. So essentially what the commission is doing at that step is applicants have already applied. Staff, HR has kind of put together who we think meets the minimum qualifications. Civil service is just taking an extra step to basically confirm that those candidates are qualified to test. So that is just an extra step. We discussed it with the commission, and I think they understood the reason of removing it for efficiencies. But also removing that, they are the authority or the body that would hear any appeals or grievances for civil service type positions. So if they're removed from making that decision on who was qualified for a position, that kind of puts them as a third party neutral instead of them being the one making that decision in the first place. So it is probably better for our process to remove that step.
So we should, I mean, assuming that there's a direct relationship and efficiency, we should probably be looking at doing two different things. Adopting the change to get rid of the list, and then changing this policy that's unique to Cedar Falls to remove another, I guess, barrier to quicker hires. Is that fair?
That is fair. It would just basically be now for entry-level positions, we would have it be a one-step process where they are just setting the documents that are used to test, the rating rubric, and that minimum threshold score that they need to meet or exceed to be able to test or to be able to be qualified for hire. They would do that up front, so the city would have expectations and guidance on that up front. The Civil Service Commission would set all those guidelines up front for us.
Okay, thank you.
So to clarify quick, the motion is doing both those items that Aaron mentioned then?
I think it would just be to approve the civil service process as recommended and to potentially suspend the entry-level list for all entry-level civil service positions.
Mr. Mayor, if council wishes to proceed along these lines, the resolution will reflect all of that.
Yep.
Essentially, council would adopt a new process.
Any other questions? Daryl? We can't hear you, Daryl, if you're talking. Still can't, so we'll give you a second if you want to
Your
try.
mic's off. Your mic's muted, Daryl.
Give him one more second. All right, go ahead and type it in if you want, Daryl, and talk. Does anybody else have any comments? Gil?
Thanks for all your work there on that, Bailey. A couple things. Are we looking to do even better than the average of 44 days? And if that is the case, what's our risk? What's the benefits are pretty straightforward. It's going to save us a lot of time and streamline things. Are we exchanging that for any risk?
I don't foresee any risk with it. Timeline-wise, I just, off the top of my head, I would say this can for sure add probably, on an estimate, about a month back to our process and get us even closer to that 44 days if we went with this new proposed civil service process.
Thank you.
Any other discussions, comments? Give him one more second, see if you luck, Daryl. Doesn't look like it. All right, well, if we can't get him on, we can probably at least get his vote. So I think, Daryl, if you're okay with it, we'll move forward with doing the vote. And okay. All right, so we're looking for a motion then to approve staff to move forward with the new proposed civil service hiring process.
Make a motion to approve suspending the use of hiring list for the next 1 year as of January 1, 25.
Quick question, is that is that the motion we're looking for since that's the one specific?
Directing staff to bring back a resolution to that effect.
Okay.
Second.
Motion seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? All right, seeing none, that motion carries. That's the end of our committee of the whole agenda items. So thank you, everyone. We will be back here at 7 o'clock for a regularly scheduled city council meeting.